Showtime. Which planet? I think Venus. Hey, Wendy.
Hey there.
How are you? Hey.
I'm good.
Good. Dude, when you said 1 hour, I was like, oh boy, because these dogs, when I get my daughter's out of town right now and I got her dogs. So I'm like rushing in, getting them food. And I'm thinking, just as soon as we get going good, they're going to be like, "Arr, arr, arr," you know? So when I heard you say an hour, I was like, okay, let's see how this
What,
goes. So
yeah, well, let me know whatever you feel like. That that was just I didn't know how long you go live for.
I like to be finished by like midnight because I
Yeah,
got to work. It's my weekend to work. When I do 9:30, I work a late weekend. And when I do 8:30, I work an early weekend. So
got you.
yeah.
It's like, hold on a second, let me think about that for
I
a second.
know, I know. That's why one's 8:30 and one's 9:30. But I be feeling it. I rush straight in from work on a 9:30 night and get what I. But she's usually here, so she takes care of the dogs. But
Yeah, but not
yeah,
tonight.
not tonight. But that's
Okay.
okay. But they're
Yeah.
good. I told them I said I got a situation happening. Dude, I already was eating popcorn. I'm like, let me get the popcorn eaten out of the way. I was already so excited. I was eating my popcorn, and I said to them, they saw me eating the popcorn, and I got a kernel in the, when I was a kid, I used to hate popcorn because I would get a kernel in there, and
Yeah.
I'm digging, and they both ran over. It was so sweet. They both ran over here. I'm like, Mimi's okay. I put the popcorn down. I'm like, I'm done with that. Okay.
Good dog.
Anywho,
Good dog.
so yeah. So how are you today?
I'm good. We're always moving, doing things. Um, Trying to share the live here.
When
And
you say when
I
you
may
say
go like this every
moving.
now and then. I got a few gnats around the house right now. Uh, but we are hoping, well not hoping, I'm pretty sure it's going down, going through. But at the beginning of April, we got the word from our landlord that we needed to be out by the end of April. And we talked him into giving us an extra month. And so we got to be out by the end of this month. And so we've been looking for places, and some of the ones that we found, as soon as we say, yeah, that's the one, let me, sign on it and put the application in. They're like, oh, we just got an application an hour ago and approved it, so no. And that's been the case with every single one, or different things. So this one, we talked to the landlord on the phone yesterday. He said he needed just some extra information, and so as far as my business, because it's not like it's my own business, and it's hard to track all the money, and even to quantify what Infinite You does. So he just had some extra questions about it, and he wanted some references and talked to some people today, and they let me know that they had good conversation with him, and he sounded like a really good guy. Like, and generally, he was like, "I have daughters. I see you have three girls, and I'm a father, da da da, and I want to do this for your family. So you, on paper, don't qualify, but we may make this work." And so,
Good.
all right, cool.
That's the kind you like, man.
Yeah.
That's what's the heart when they got heart.
And that's what he's checking too, which is a good thing. You want to be around people that have the ability to check hearts, because sometimes people let the wrong, individuals into spaces that don't belong there.
That's right.
So,
That's
how's your
right.
day been going?
Today was a good day. I've had a couple of good days.
Good.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Anything specific?
no, I mean, I hurt my back last week because I was in the middle of an emotional thought,
Hmm.
and it was an intense emotional thought, and I wasn't thinking about what I was doing. And I literally just like bent down to pick up a shoe or a dog toy, like one of the two.
Yep.
But I remember as I was going down to pick up the toy, I had a real emotional thought about my daughter.
Hmm.
And I totally didn't even pay attention to what I was doing. And when I stood up, I couldn't, why is this thing telling me to swipe? I couldn't even hardly move.
Yeah.
And so I committed to working an extra day for Mother's Day. So I worked with a hurt back.
Hmm.
My daughter's flight got delayed. So she wasn't able, I thought she was going to be here for Mother's Day. She wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I had to take another day off. So that was last week though. So like,
How's your back now?
yeah,
How's,
it was quite the thing.
how's it doing now?
Huh?
How's your back doing now?
It's better. I had to work through that emotional where I
Hmm.
was holding that trauma in my body,
Yeah.
and that's what happened. And it came to light, and I was able to process it this week. And
Good.
so my hips have more mobility. I just committed to going outside, and because both my legs were broken in domestic violence. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. How long ago?
Um, oh my gosh, now that you're asking me, probably five
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Okay.
But 8 years ago it kicked off. Oh my goodness, how cute, the little crab.
Crabs. You
Yeah.
got crabs.
I love it. I'm Cancer, Sun, and Moon, so
Oh,
so
okay,
yeah, so I
good.
put that,
You
yeah.
you literally do, and your chart and everything. All right, and on your head and everywhere.
So yeah, so dude, I forgot what I was even talking
We
about.
were talking about the 5 year ago
Oh,
thing.
that's right. 8 years ago, I got the call. I got this. I got the. Like I've been in the spiritual army my whole
Okay.
life, but 8 years ago I got the knock on my door, and it was time to process
Mhm.
all of the data that I collected all of these years. Okay, and so that's when kickoff happened. He broke my first leg, my left leg, with my little pink guitar. Whole nother story. Then the second year, when I finally got to be able to walk, I got away, and I ran and jumped a fire pit. I was free.
Mhm.
And dude, I have the classic prima ballerina break. I broke every toe in my right foot when I landed. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah.
the second year I had that was broken, and when it healed 8 months later and I was able to actually walk again, he was back in my life beseeching help. So we reached out to help him, and he started and he deliberately jumped up on the chair that my foot was under and rebroke every toe in my right foot again. So 3 years straight I had broken legs. Yeah. So my hips got, and the hips don't
Mhm.
lie,
Right. Yeah.
they took a hit. So
Mhm.
finally the inner peace is back, and I'm outside. So I committed to being outside every day and just doing pigeon pose and a couple of things, and
Okay.
it's been working. So
Good.
I'm
Good.
sticking with the continuity, dude. I got the continuity. I'm going for it.
Yeah, you got to. We're getting messages and signs all over the place, and we've all been through the freaking ringer. It has not been an easy journey, and I, part of that is going through it and being able to smile on the other end, and it's like, oh, let me show you how I can still smile on the other end of this thing, and I'm
True
like, man,
that.
you got some trick up your sleeve or something. It's like, not really. I'm just still fucking smiling is all.
That's right. That's right. Because I'm like, it was such a journey to hate, to love hate, and being so programmed from religion my whole life. I was like, if I expressed my real feelings about how I felt toward air quotes God, I was angry with God, I was really angry because I can understand why people say that, but I never let that get me. I was always like, no, it's going to happen. Everything's going to be great. And then now I say, I've always said when I got the call, when it went that way and the stuff that I experienced and that I lived through, and I had to consciously keep making that decision that I was going to continue to be a good person, that I was going to continue to overcome, that I was going to continue, and that I really had to decide, do I want to live or perish? And that's when I realized that we're designed, which I already been knowing from studies, that our bodies are not designed to perish.
Right.
But when I had to come back from all of that, it doesn't, when people say we're gonna, like, that's what I know I'm here for. It's and I don't know who believes in Christ and the Messiah, the whole shebang, but it's anti-Christ to think that you're gonna perish.
Yeah.
Because he came to give life and life more abundantly to those who love it and that are grateful and not fearful and don't worry, and
Yeah.
so putting that into action is what I came to realize, that I talked a real good talk, but I had to really walk the walk, and that's what I'm doing now, walking it out just walking
With
it
your
out.
so how are your legs right now?
I mean, good. Like
Are
I'll
you
if you
able to walk?
Oh yeah. So yeah, whenever I hit that, when the 18-wheeler hit me 3 times, dude, I was so happy that I could move my legs when I heard fight for life, the whole thing, that when the firefighters came to get me out of the little hole that I was sandwiched in, I
Wow.
said, I can feel my legs. I was joking then. So I went
Yeah.
to pull up with my arms, dude, and the whole top of my body was broken. And
Wow.
that's when I crashed, because it was like I just got another year, 3 years straight, and in the 4th year, my whole top of my body was broken.
And when was that?
2020.
That was in 2020. So that was the 5-year thing.
That was when, after the 3 years of the leg breakings, and then the
Right.
5-year mark, I got the
Yeah.
whole top part.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, you know what I did? Pilates. I did Pilates and wall push-ups, dude. I just
Moving your
stayed
body.
busy.
Yeah,
Keep it
that's
moving.
right. Just stay busy. That's like well, I'm proud of you for keep on keeping on. And if you don't mind me asking, where are you located in I know you're in the US.
In Sheboygan, Wisconsin. It's
Wisconsin.
Sheboygan.
Wisconsin. Is that like straight up? Where's my
Yeah,
map?
it's 3 hours north of Chicago.
Okay, okay. I got maps all over the place.
Yeah,
So
I love that. I'm a map
let me
person.
I've got the place is filled with hints and signs and like things that are part of the ascension process. And so what do you know about the work that I've done from what you've seen? Because not everything can translate over TikTok or like whatever. So what prompted you? Because I know, I tried, and my try was not very hard to do some type of regular lives and be in these TikTok streets and communicate with the community and have this engagement because I was prompted to come on this space. And I feel like there's a lot of us doing that. So, and I'm also like maybe assuming a little bit or just alluding to maybe I know what your intentions were or where we're at, but also just with what was your prompt to invite me as a guest on here.
I listen to you talk, and I love hearing you talk. I love it. And I'm kind of a heart reader and an energy reader, and I had to do that because when I was a child, it was a nightmare. It was like a war zone constantly, and it was bad. And so, and I didn't know you had 3 girls until you just said that a few minutes ago. So that's epic. But that was kind of, I just gleaned that you were really safe, and I gleaned that you're on the, I say you got your card pulled. In the army,
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like
so
what you were saying in the very beginning of our
that's right.
conversation.
That's
Right.
right.
We got the call got
You got
answered.
That's right. And
Yeah.
so I could tell that, and that's what I've been gleaning and looking for, and that's part of what's happening right now with the sifting process, is for people that I know are on the team,
Mm-hmm.
and who we are and what we're doing and how it's cultivating and how we have to work together, and sometimes we don't even have to talk because we know, but when we hear each other talk and then we see what we're actually doing,
Mm-hmm.
your kind of mission was more of like boots on the ground, like actually really putting it into place, into to reaching out and helping people in the 3D. And so I mean, we could hear it on TikTok, but you're actually doing it in your community and stuff like that. So that was another thing. And I I like, because I had questions too, because I want to ask
Mm-hmm.
safe men questions,
Yeah.
you know. And so
I There was a feeling that I got from that already because I'm not a woman, but I can quickly like put my feet in your shoes and be like, oh, I can see how that's a thing. Oh, and I can imagine the things that you've heard. Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. And then you said you had three daughters, and that just like, I
yeah,
was like, now here we go. No wonder.
yeah.
But
I've got five sisters too.
well, that's the thing. And so I want to ask that here we are. I love it. I wanted to ask you questions that are hard questions for men to answer.
Yeah.
And, because to stand up for women these days, they would rather still have their buddies and their approval of the
Approval.
buddies than
Yeah.
to, than to really man up. And it's difficult for females and women because we seem really needy, and and God forbid you a floozy, because then you just a whore, and so
Right.
on and so
And they give
forth.
the opposite sex so much ammo that they have like, oh, I'm just gonna hit you with all this shit that I have heard about you and all my
That's right.
assumptions, and then now you're just in a battle where you were just looking for validation, feedback in a positive way or something. So yeah, absolutely, I understand all of that. I'm
Yeah.
here for it.
Yeah.
So
No, 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 not tonight. I mean, we could do another
well,
one,
no, 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 no.
but
Whatever you want to ask tonight.
okay.
I'm an open book and I'm here for it. And were you done before I cut you off?
Oh yeah, I'm dealing with this dog. I told you she was going to start.
Yeah.
She's at the door right now.
So I'm
So
super
just bear
full
with
of,
me.
yeah, no, you're good. Just let me know if you've got to pay attention to something else or like whatever the case may be. Not every time you got to tell me. Because once we hopefully get the room going here, um, we should have some more conversations and questions and answers to people in the chat. And I'm gonna do my best at like looking down there and also conversing with you and answering questions. Um,
Well, good. Then I'll just get these dogs taken care of, and then
yeah, you're
by
good.
that time we should be ready to go. They
Well,
they've been doing really good. Like I've been taking them together, but I ordered the training collars for sure.
you yank on them.
Yeah,
You know,
he's big like a horse.
so you're getting yanked on then.
Yeah, he tries, but he don't even know his Mimi. Yeah, he does. He loves her.
So that word safe has been a familiar word that I've heard
Come on, come on,
from
buddy.
women
Come on, buddy.
and from men. Um, and that was a cool experience, and it actually ties into what you spoke about earlier with your back, because it immediately reminded me of going to the Manger Hotel here in San Antonio. That's one of the most haunted hotels. And as soon as I got there, it felt like these entities jumped on my back, and for almost a month, I had this knot and this like stuff going on that I knew it had to do with like ancestral stuff and the people that were tied to the land that have transitioned, that were being used by the hotel to sell rooms. Right? So if you can imagine, like, this hotel is like, hey, come here, we're the most haunted. You're gonna see something, you experience something. And all the beings that are trapped there, stuck in limbo, are like, hold on a second, I'm actually looking for the light. I've been here a long time. This feels like almost forever. And then I show up knowing something was gonna happen. I knew something was gonna happen. My partner even told me. She was like, I don't think you're gonna make any money. It doesn't feel good. I don't think you should go. And I said, no, I think there's some reason why I gotta go. And so for me, it was this helping souls to transition into a different space, into the free space where they can move again and they weren't trapped there. And so I had that process. But my friend Jackson, who was with me the few days before, like that Wednesday or Thursday before, and I was vending at this place on a Sunday. And he came and sat next to me during a guided meditation by another friend of ours for this event. And and she had a whole emotional process when she was doing this sound activation, this I am presence activation for everyone at this event called Regen World. And she did it as a last minute thing. She expressed herself in a way where she was like crying and screaming and asked to be seen. And then after she expressed that, she was thankful for the ones that we stayed around until she packed everything and walked off the stage pretty much. And so we showed, how much we care about her. But when I was about to get up and walk away, I looked behind me, and the person that came and sat down next to me in the middle of the meditation had this familiar energy about them. And it felt a little bit more feminine, but that is Jackson. Long hair, flowing curly locks, and he's very soft, right? He's a very nurturing, caring kind of person and everything. Not that he's feminine in the way of like, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about the way that their sexual orientation. I'm
Right.
talking about mannerisms, right? So I felt that about him. So I wasn't sure if it was a girl or a guy. But I felt something familiar, and it was like feminine, but I don't think it was a girl. Okay, whatever. Just meditate. Because I was laying down on the on the deck that we were out on. But when we came out of it, I looked back and I said, "Oh, Jackson." And he leaned over and he said that he chose to come and sit next to me because he feels safe around me. And you've used this word, and I've heard it by other people, but tying with the whole back and like this, what you felt familiar with was this emotional thing of you as a creator and your daughter as your creation, and whatever was transpiring with those emotions that caused that back issue. And that's also a big thing. I'm over here, I think very large with the world and like these very big things that are happening with mass consciousness as it moves through the divine feminine and the masculine as they're dancing, and one has been leading and the other one is saying, I want to lead a little bit too, and the other one's like, no, I'm not done leading yet. And it's like, hold on a second, give him a fucking rightful place to lead, God damn it. And then so I witnessed these large maneuvering with consciousness, and I witnessed these large maneuvering with consciousness, and the part of for not to give what you did any less of a value is what my point is in saying that. Is the work that I'm doing is akin to the divine feminine masculine, what's happening with our children, our creations. I'm a creator, all that it ties together. And so that was the process that I went through, and my friend Jackson was part of the healing process for that experience at the Menger Hotel with all whatever these entities jumping on my back. Like, that was crazy. Like, cause it literally seized up. Like same like you. I went over to move my cart that had my stuff in it to vend. So I just moved it over. And also to show this guy that was at the bottom of the hotel, he was looking at he was actually looking at that map. That map right there with the solar eclipses. He was looking at it. So I had it sitting on one of those willing carts, and I'm like, oh, you interested in this map? All right, well, I gotta go get my other cart. Let me move this this cart over, and as soon as I bent over, this seizing of my back, and it was like, whew, okay. And now I'm walking around and I just feel like get more knotted up and it starts traveling up into my shoulder blades. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And I'm going into the room full of a bunch of healers, readers, psychics, right? And so I got work done by multiple people, massage work for physical pain and also some entity work where he's like, all right, we just cleared 14 entities and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, I don't know if we need to like clear them, but we're just helping them traverse this rainbow bridge. But the really cool thing, and it's part of, my message here on TikTok, and it's quite large, and it's not exactly the easiest thing for people to grasp. But San Antonio is, and it has been known as a cosmic city for thousands of years. And that's what the indigenous people, the ancients, called this place a cosmic city. And it is the only city, if anybody even is familiar with this map, that's two solar eclipses that crisscrossed over Texas within 6 months of each other. And the paths of totality mark an X over San Antonio.
I was born on a solar eclipse.
Were you really?
Really? When was that solar eclipse that you're talking about in San Antonio?
So one happened on 10/14/23, and then 6 months later, the totality eclipse happened on 4/8/24. And right where they crisscross, I mean, like the middle of both of them is Utopia, Texas. And then a property called Miracle Springs Ranch. A miracle and Utopia and a Cosmic X. And so the story that I came and I said, my card got pulled. It was an extremely big fuck yes, because what we're about to do, this practical application of like putting gardens in schools and growing food everywhere and looking at the way the water flows from the north of America all the way down, and it literally flows all the way down to the body of Christ, which is Corpus Christi. Wow. And it comes through the Mother Earth with the aquifers, gets cleansed by her, and then gets purified and remineralized. And then in San Antonio, before early 1900s, the water used to flow abundantly. There were fountains of water, not even just like artesian springs. The stories are that there were fountains squirting water out of the land, and geysers that were like 10 feet up in the air of just water coming out of the Blue Hole, which is one of the main artesian wells here in San Antonio. And I've tracked all of these things, and I've found these symbols and these literal places that, I mean, I'm getting like the never ending story in my head, and how we can make up like these magical, like, what the fuck? So just to follow this, and I'm going here and there and everywhere. So,
I love it. I love it. I've heard you talk about this before, and I love it.
Yeah, it's the quantum conversation, right? We go ping places that all make sense when you can just like keep hold of where their pings are.
That's right.
And then like, hold on, this actually does resonate with this over here. If I could just hold the field for a second. Don't forget what he said earlier. Yeah. So the University of Incarnate Word is right next to and essentially guards the Blue Hole, which is this well that the water used to sprout out of. And so this is where some of this ties to the Hopi prophecy and the blue star Kachina and the red star Kachina. Because in San Antonio, you have the Blue Hole and all these things that go towards the color blue. And then we also have the military industrial complex in San Antonio, which is definitely the color red. That's fight or flight. That's survival mode. That's, I need to have a defense organization on this web to protect everything. And so that's San Antonio. This place had 5 military bases. So the University of Incarnate Word. So if we just break that down, and let's just get rid of the word university. And we can leave that there if you want to play with the word university and universal and whatever, universe, whatever. But the University of Incarnate Word, it's the word incarnate. And in the beginning it was the word. And the word is a vibration or a frequency. And so as this word comes out, these intentions, you have water. Dr. Masamoto said or showed how you can program water with words. And so we can
That's
speak
right.
frequencies into words. And so this city used to have this blue hole that water would flow fresh out of the Edwards Aquifer, which hydrologists from around the world, and the hydrologist is not a spiritual person, right? A hydrologist studies water and the way it flows and how it flows and all the parts of water. So hydrologists from around the world have called the Edwards Aquifer, which is the aquifer that supplies the San Antonio River and most of the water for the San Antonio people. Like, we drink the Edwards Aquifer water. They call it the Queen Mother Aquifer of all aquifers around the world. So you've got a Queen Mother Aquifer, which is underground water flow in a river that spans from Austin all the way down to San Antonio and the Hill Country, which is Utopia, and the place where we had a successful CE5 meditation in Kerrville, Texas. And there's water flowing underneath everyone there. But because of what we do with the water, and we drink it, we water our lawns with it, we waste it, we don't harvest rainwater, we flush it out of all the major cities where this aquifer, like Austin, San Marcos, San Antonio, everything in between, we flush stormwater out when we should be slowing it down, sequestering it, and then, using it to water lawns, grow food, all the different ways that you can use that stormwater. And a lot of places talk about drought, but they're flushing stormwater out. And it's all the ditches. And you go to major cities, you see these large, trenches that they just dug out a literal. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, really.
So you know what? Let's do that. Let's imagine for just a second this river, this creek, this waterway. Now you've got some people that are living on the banks. They're polluting it maybe a little bit. Maybe they're not stewards of the land as well as they should be. And then their shit starts flowing in. Or maybe, what the other thing is, they start building roads, and those roads are impervious, and the houses don't absorb water. So now all that water that used to absorb in the land underneath the roads and underneath the houses now start dumping that straight into that creek. And that creek never before has been filled so fast. The land used to do a good job of absorbing it. So now you have this creek that starts to fill up, and all the little houses on the side of it. Oh no, my house. Oh no, it's this and that. So now they start, all right, I'm a smart guy. I work for the city. What's your problem here, Mr. and Mrs. Constituent? You got flooding? Well, I've got an engineer that's a good friend of mine. All right, I'm a fucking dumbass engineer. Let's flatten this shit out, put some concrete there, and get that shit the fuck out of here. No more problem. It's gone. And so we can follow like the logical steps, without putting so much evil on it. Because a lot of times where we're in these spaces, there's a lot of pointing fingers, and hey, we can point fingers until we're blue in the face. Because a lot of times when you're pointing fingers, there's a mouth attached to it. It has a lot of opinions.
I thought you were going to say there's 3 pointing back.
That too, but there's also that damn mouth attached to that
That's
damn
right.
finger talking all the shit too.
Well, you notice fingers, here we go. If you're worried, is your thumb, okay?
Hmm.
You're going to forget. You can remember fast. FAST. Fear is your point, is this one.
Hmm.
Anger.
Yeah.
Sadness. The
Is
ring.
that the
The
wedding
ring.
ring?
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect.
And trying. Your
Yeah,
pinky.
because it never has enough power.
Oh, you're trying, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you worry, because worry is carried in your thumb.
Yeah.
Fear. So when you're, oh, where were you? That's fear.
A lot of
It's all
fear.
in your hand. Yeah.
Mm. You're
Yep.
trying to give up your control and put it in someone else's hands.
Yep.
I'm scared of taking control of this
Yeah.
power and
I
this
don't want to look at
responsibility.
myself. I'm going to look at you.
Hmm. And so this
And
is
then I'm
where,
like, that makes me angry
yeah, exactly.
or
Well,
so sad. I'm really trying. Pinky
hmm,
promise, type shit.
while you're slapping yourself in the
And
face.
then you're like,
Yeah. There's also another thing with the hands. Well, there's, everything is multidimensional, right? There's a calendar that I have here. And this is part of the practical application because whether we can look at time and say, does time really exist? And ask all the questions about time and what's source and what's the beginning of it all, and is the all, and can we even talk about the all and all those things? But really, until we like, there's a process. You don't go from zero. I mean, you can go to 0 to 100 in your emotions, but you you can literally shock the energy and the neuron, what, not the neurons, but like the electrical signal of the physical suit
mm,
by trying to shove so much high density information through it.
yeah.
And so I know sometimes when I come in these TikTok streets, or just I'm out there in the regular, space, the information that I have, it overwhelms people. But I really promise that I am giving the most practical, down to earth application of what the ascension process is in a nutshell, and to lead with, and it doesn't have to be my way, right? Just like I'm saying, hey, let this spark some shit in you. And that's really what we're doing. But there's practical things that are like, you know, when you're going into this, and it can be looked at as a level or it can be looked at as an expansion, which still each level of the expansion can be defined, right? Like if you wanted to look at it at levels like a ladder, each rung of the ladder is defined and it's solid, and you know where the boundary of the lower level and the next level are. And the same thing as we go through this expansion process, there are things that are more tangible, physical. I can see them. They need to make sense for me because it's a collective shift when we go through that. And it needs to make sense for the collective. It can't just be this super like out there notion of all this stuff. It needs to make sense. And part of the things that we're in now, that it's going to make sense to shift into a higher octave, is going to be still allowing a physical calendar thing that you can hang up on the wall and look at and read. But in this, it has like the Gregorian calendar dates, and then it has all this multi-dimensional information, which is like tones, colors, glyphs, that all have extra meaning. And there's creation cycles within cycles within cycles, and all this beautiful Mayan information and chakras and all that. But that's the whole thing with having a different thing that we can use, that hard line that we can use to step on, that substitutes our incoherent, not harmonic, timekeeping mechanism in the Gregorian calendar. And so this is one of the things that and so I was going to mention real quick how like the hands, let's see if I can find it real quick.
So you think you're on board with the timekeeping thing, or do you think that eventually we won't have to deal with that?
Well, when you get to a point of like you don't work for a living and you've aligned yourself with natural timekeeping and the way the land goes and the water flows and like all that stuff, then you don't need a calendar on the wall or a clock to look at. But that's a whole different pattern of being. But until we get to a place of I don't work for anybody, everything is absolutely provided for me, and we're now settled into that state, I don't think we're going to be at that point. I think it's a great idea to have a bridge that takes us from one timekeeping
We're
to the next.
definitely in the bridge phase for sure.
Yeah, and so this one is part of it, and let me see, and the hands and like where you are on a map. Like this whole thing was part of a download that came in like 1987 and a few years after. To show, yeah, you can see that.
Yeah.
So like there's just colors and they all correlate to like that's a map. That's like a world map, and this is a butterfly. That's the galactic center, or the Hunab-Ku, the information coming from the galactic central sun, which is the stitching that holds this whole place together, this time matrix together. And we're all pieces of art. And so essentially what we use this timekeeping mechanism, which is called the galactic calendar. And you can find this physical calendar made by my friends Bob and Eden Sky with Sky Time. They're in Eugene, Oregon. And the name of their website is 13moon.com. This calendar is only a couple months away from being, this calendar year is going to be over. And then on July 25th, for the Mayan Day at a Time, there's one day in between the two calendar years that we celebrate art and music and dance and play and community. And so the 26th of July would be the next start. Yes, in July. And I was just thinking about this the other day too, because we're looking at when is the new year, and the Gregorian calendar says it's in the middle of winter, and I say it's in the middle of summer. Some say it's spring. I say summer
I do too.
because of this calendar system. But then I was thinking too, because we went to the river the other day, and I was in the sun, and I don't wear sunscreen, and I have my pendant on all the time, and I've got this big old blank spot right here of no tan, and I didn't burn at all. I just tanned. And so I was like, oh, in the summer is when we get the most melanin, when we get the most amount of like sunlight, when the soup is being cooked. It doesn't cook in the cold or in the lukewarm of spring and fall. It's in the middle of summer when everything starts to melt, when it starts to alchemize, when it starts to rub really close together, and things start sweating, and there's like just there's a whole alchemy of heat. And so that's what this calendar will show is July 25th of every year is the Mayan Day at a Time celebration. It's in between one calendar year and the next one. It's a 13-month, 28-day lunar cycle, 365-day solar cycle, 260-day galactic matrix, which is actually the birthing, like incubation of a baby from conception to birth is roughly 260 days.
Right on.
So this thing, and from what I mentioned earlier about this map and having it show me that there was a Miracle Springs Ranch in Utopia, Texas, in the future Cosmic X. So just to backtrack a little bit, the day that I discovered that map was 7/15/2020,
Okay.
the day before we had a successful CE5 meditation. We were in Kerrville, Texas. We raised our frequency. We saw lights in the sky, and then we saw lights on the ground, size of your fingertips, just like this, two little rectangles side by side, flashing in the trees, hanging out for 2 hours. The next day, driving back to San Antonio, I pulled over at a property I had been looking at for about 9 years to build an off-grid community. And so since the time of me discovering this 753-acre property, I learned about permaculture, earthships, hemp houses, how to harvest water, food, all the things. And then now I have this community of light workers that are all in Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and throughout the world, that are all on the same mission. We're all like, no, this is what we're doing. Ascension. It's ascension process. We can talk about ascension all fucking day long until we're blue in the face, face to face at these festivals that we're at twice a year for the last, since 2011. It's called Medicine for the People. So this event has been cultivating community in Texas. And then I'm the herald for this, maybe just this quadrant for the world. Who the fuck knows? But my name is Harold, born on 11/22/77, 11 p.m. on the dot, and awakening at 33, Sedona on 11/11/11. And then a year later, discovering the property that now on 7/14/2020 or 7/15/2020, I'm looking to see if this property's still for sale. Last night was crazy. Fucking UFO in the sky and ET on the ground. I don't know what happened, but something's guiding me to come check out this property that I've been eyeballing. And it was sold. I drive past this property that's selling 5 to 10 acre lots, and I'm like, oh, I hope that wasn't it, because it's been 9 years and I purchased it. So I had all this time. Every once in a while, I drive by going to Enchanted Rock, and I'm like, okay, it's still there. All right. We're still, dream's still going.
So that's what we believe in for then. I got you.
Right, exactly. So this is where everything has led me to it's almost like it's an anchor to the future, and I'm just pulling along, and just like this magnet, these beings that are attracted to the same heart expression and what we're wanting to build, we start finding each other. Sometimes people fall off and they go learn some more, then they come back on, or they fall off for good, or whatever the case may be, or they go off to Costa Rica and are like, I live off grid now.
I'm done.
And
Y'all can take it from here. I chose retirement. I had that option too. I remember that.
Right? So this is where we find where everybody, and then also you see where people have moved. They picked up information from those magnets coming together. Information is exchanged, then it goes out and it plants a seed in another place. And this is like the cosmic thing that's going down here. And I am here to herald that this cosmic X and these solar eclipses are speaking volumes. And there's really nobody else talking about this on TikTok. I
haven't heard it.
No, there's a lot of
everybody. I'm being exaggeratory. Everybody out in the galaxy. Everybody thinking it's somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's how I know. If everybody wanted the memo of how I know, it's who wants to reside on Earth.
Yeah.
And live forever upon it.
Right.
To fathom that. I want
Everybody's
my children.
Looking outside.
I want to see my children. I want to see their children. I want them to see I want to keep having children on Earth. I want to keep feeling things, seeing things, touching things, tasting things, even though it's a bitch sometimes because it ain't right now with everything that's going on. But just think, we still smiling through all that. Just think if that wasn't there and how good it can get,
Exactly.
That's the problem.
And so this is where the message that I'm here to herald is not just, right now we've kind of gone through a little bit of the lead up to this path to embodiment. And that's the message that's the new anchor. I threw that motherfucker out to 2027.
Right on.
Because of what I learned from here. Because these solar eclipses spoke to me. They showed me Tesla towers on aquifer points within the path of totality. They showed me the water system and what I was talking about with we can have, because right now that underground river, the aquifer, the Edwards aquifer, the queen mother of aquifers around the world that hydrologists talk about, she's about halfway full.
So it's getting
So
fuller.
no, she's diminishing and
Oh,
diminishing because
diminishing,
we're like
diminishing. I
this.
got you.
We're over here. This is San Antonio. I'm San Antonio.
Yeah.
And we keep sucking her dry, and it gets filled up through natural ways. But the more we grow and the more that we use it to water lawns that we don't eat, and we waste it, and then we let, companies come in and build 2,000 more homes right on the recharge zone,
Yeah.
with no plan in sight to not let that water, just like we took that mind mapping earlier of these creeks and how they used to be before they were ditches. And so these people now you've got 2,000 homes that they're talking about building and going, we're going to build 2,000 homes and we're going to put them right here on a recharge zone. And now all that runoff, where's it going to go? What ditch system that they build? And they probably just are attaching into an existing ditch system that comes into San Antonio already. Because this, 2,000 homes is on the outskirts. And it's in the hill country. I know where it's going to flow. It's going to flow fucking downhill, because that's not hard to know. Right? It's very commonsensical things, but they don't think ahead. It's like they're building this one piece of a Lego, and that's all they care about.
Yeah.
And then they go put that in there, and they're like, I don't know where all this shit runs off and the waste goes off from this Lego, but I heard there's a system around here that I can just tap into. And that system's like, yeah, we'll take more of you on. We'll send more trucks out there to pick up y'all's trash. And then where does it go? Who's doing what with it?
Yeah.
But see, this is part of my process and all this whole thing. It's given me a story where I've been able to go in front of organizations and events where they curate and they go out and find the innovators, the new businesses that are taking trash and turning it into fuel, turning it into fertilizer, turning it into biochar. There's one in Austin called Eden Energy. And I met them the other day, that when I was laying down with the guided meditation, and my friend Jackson came up and said, I make him. He feels safe around me.
Yeah.
Right. So there was also this organization that brought these pallets. They put them up. They put all this shit up on the wall in their contraptions, and they use liquid hydrofraction, which is pressurized water on any kind of carbon material waste, any kind of waste, not just plastic, not just paper, not any even like nuclear waste. They can take it, they can separate the molecules into fertilizer, biochar, fuel.
Dude,
I'm
epic.
Yes, look, and they do it small, medium, and large scale. So I'm like, my fucking clicker's clicking, and I'm looking at San Antonio, and if this place has been called a cosmic city from the past, and then they know it's going to be, and you got to understand too, if you look at America, from Canada down to South America is indigenous, ancient, Mayan, Aztec routes. They traveled the whole thing, and guess what's in the middle? Cosmic X City, San Antonio, Texas. The place that used to have over 1,000 artesian wells and fountains of water that would just spew out because we weren't inhabited in the way that we are now. And it used to be an oasis, are the stories that were told of this place that I live, that is now the 7th largest city in the nation. Right? So
is that river that runs through San Antonio man-made, or did they build around it?
So you hear the stories, right? You've heard something where you're like, I've heard something where, is that real or not?
Yeah.
So it once was a natural flowing real river that they called Yanaguana. And this was the water which means land of the spirit water. Yeah. So there's a creation story for San Antonio in the hill country, which is San Antonio up to Austin. And the way that this water and that aquifer system would flow, it would literally go down, like, so go all the rivers from the north, and then it goes into the sediment, the Trinity aquifer system, then the Edwards, and it's filtered by Mother Nature and goes into this underground river that's porous limestone. All the ancient sites, what are they built on? Limestone.
Mm.
What's the theories? The limestone had water in it, aquifers. So guess what? This place had a Queen Mother aquifer, and it used to provide so much water for this entire land. And they used to do a lot of flood irrigation. And the way this water would come out of the mother in the seventh largest city in the nation and make its way down, the river traveled all the way down to Corpus Christi. And you wonder why they named it Corpus Christi. It means the body of Christ. And so someone from the past looked into the future, and San Antonio is the seventh tone, the seventh largest city in the nation, connecting to the body of Christ. And so the water used to flow naturally and abundantly, but around the early 1900s, it ceased to flow naturally because a human being, dug a well. They hit a pocket, and then the water was gushing for like a month or so. They're like, whoa, what the fuck? They hit a pocket.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, the well ceased to flow like consistently.
What you said it before, but it's coming together now with the queen. Is the queen the mother?
So this whole notion of the Queen Mother aquifer is because it provides so much actual water or drinking water for the entire city of San Antonio. About 75%, I think, now, because the city just keeps growing. It's like about 2 million people. And it all comes out of this Edwards aquifer. So they tout it as being some of the most clean, mineralized, pristine water, but they still add the fluoride and they still do whatever they do with it, right? But I've gotten, we look at our tap water and we're like, tap water, I don't even want to bathe in you, but I gotta bathe today. And kind of that thing. But then lately I've been looking at it, because that would be the same thing as like pointing fingers at this evil thing. And I look at my bath, I'm like, you evil thing, chlorine and fluoride. But now I look at it, I'm like, wow, I'm actually bathing myself with the Queen Mother water that is Yanaguana, that is provided so much water and life and sustenance. Even though they've added whatever they've done to it, I put my heart frequency in it. I put my intentions into it.
Yeah.
And
that frequency is the saving grace for many of the hazardous materials that we are surrounded by.
There was a lady that I saw here on TikTok, and she did that. Have you heard of that Dr. Masu Emoto or whatever, that would put, the
water
words
tester
in the water and freeze it?
Yep.
So she did the same thing. She had the water next to a Wi-Fi router, and she froze it, put it in a microscope, came out looking all jacked up. And she did that 6 times just to test it and test it again. And on the 6th time, it went back to this harmonic snowflake looking thing. No words. No, I love you, like nothing. She just kept going back and forth, and the water found its level, regardless of what external incoherence.
She kept tending to it.
Huh?
She kept tending to it. She kept giving it attention.
That too, but and what I want to get at, because yes, it's that, and I hear you on that, but I think the overall notion is to say that, to give everyone, without anybody paying attention to you, what it really boils down is to you paying attention to yourself, right? You will find your own level. You'll find your equilibrium. Even when the shit's hitting the fan, if you can just like remember what that feels like to be in that center point, then you can be the eye of the storm, you know. But the point is, I don't think we want to sit in that shit for too long. So
No,
this
but
whole
that's why, though, people that are coming out of shame have a
yeah,
hard time finding their center point because you can tell them all the time, let it go, find it. But children who are
right,
really traumatized adults that are
they
just
hold
kind of,
on to it.
they do not have a center point that they can find. That's what they're trying to get to. They're gleaning to find their center, and that's the nervous system is eradicated, and there's so many energetic systems that branch off of that. But
Mhm.
when you can touch it, and the nervous system is actually like veins in these, all of this, the vagus nerve and all these things in the human body that are tangible, that's still energy.
Right.
That's still
Yeah.
energy. It's just very dense energy.
I was watching another video on TikTok, and this guy was speaking on that energy in the way that we think about it, and I'm talking about it in the form of like giving this light bulb power.
Hmm.
He said it's not transferred in the way that we think. He said these transformers that are in our backyard, that they have these wound up copper wires in them, but the copper wires are not touching. So it's like one wound up thing, and then the other part of it is over here all wound up, but they're actually not even like
Hmm.
connected. They're
Hmm.
not touching. So what is transferring the energy? And he says what it is you're just getting them to resonate. That's how we've been lighting all this shit up, is that nothing was needed over here to that was sent from here. There was no sender and receiver. It all the information, everything that was needed was already here, and everything that was wanting to communicate with that was already there too. And so it's just this real funny notion of like how unmaterial this whole, like, where we're going into. And so I want to I've got a little bit more time, and then I'm gonna gotta take off to pick up my 12-year-old, um because I want to hit it home, like the practical application. We hit on a little bit, but and that makes sense. And it's, yes, let's put gardens everywhere, and every school should have a garden program and teach thriving, sustainable practices, and every high school campus should have an earthship and all that. But what can push this into that type of like world? And I think we're going through it right now. Like within our government, we see institutions that are being dismantled that we know and have been talking shit about for a long time. And now things are finally, doing all this stuff on places that we're not really part of that team. I'm not in the politics in the form of like,
Yeah.
oh, I can get some shit done politically, and oh, I'm in finances where I can get some shit done finances for
Boring.
the overall world, right? But what can we do? And so this is my approach to what can I do. And part of my personal story was going to my children's school in 2014 with the garden project for the neighborhood, and the synchronicities took off. And before you know, within 2 years, this school became the seventh healthiest school, with a 20-foot tall water harvesting cistern, a solar drip irrigation, a butterfly garden, like all these things. And I'm just like, whoa, okay, I
Wow.
didn't even have to do it all. So that's how it works. You make small steps, and when your heart's in this place, it amplifies and can create synergy where you never thought synergy was,
Mhm.
because everything is already where it needs to be. And so for 2027, these solar eclipses back here, following them, and seeing all these signs of free energy and the body of Christ and the crown chakra, the seventh tone, the water, like all that stuff. I'm like, well, if I could pick up that much data off of looking at these,
Mhm.
well, shit, what's going on in the future? So I started looking ahead, and
Okay.
I found some very cool things. And one of them is 2027 solar eclipse that goes over Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
and it goes right over Luxor and Temple of Hathor in Dendata, and this whole beautiful thing that's also a part of my spiritual journey with doing activations in the hill country and enchanted rock for the Hathors. And I'm not even the Egyptian shit at that time where I'm like, I don't know what we're doing, but this is cool. um and then now it comes full circle. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like everything like fucking super adds up. So with before the end of the month, um this we will have this app that we're going to be releasing. For the beginning parts of it, it's mainly going to be tailored for San Antonio, but quickly it's going to add in organizations from other cities, and the community is going to help me find those cities that. So this is what the app's going to do.
Okay.
You go into this app and you're going to find organizations in your area that you can volunteer. They need
Mm-hmm.
volunteers. They need help putting gardens in schools. They need help cleaning up the rivers. They need help cleaning up city blocks or whatever it is. All the earth stewardship shit. Yes, you're not going to get paid. And 9 times out of 10, most of those places that take these volunteers don't really have any type of a reward system.
Mm-hmm.
The reward is thank you. Look at how clean it is
That's right.
now. Right? And that's normally that is good enough for a lot of us. We do that and we're like, and that's actually like really, really a lot. It's more than enough for us.
Yeah.
But what I'm able to do is offer, and again, this starts here in San Antonio, but as this grows, when you go and find your place that you volunteer with, it would help you check in and check out. So you're logged in and logged out, like it's got geo mapping, so it knows you're not just stealing hours and saying you're
Yeah.
logging in from home and shit. Right? We're already looking at all these things, and I've got checks and balances and all that, right? So you check in, check out, and you get a little heart token that goes into your wallet. So now you're gaining these heart tokens and this like, you know, this other kind of currency. And then for right now with our because we host a Mayan Day at a Time celebration in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since I went and stayed at the property that was in the center of the act
Haunted.
in 2021. So, just like there we have a book out. I'm a co-author of a book, and you can hear like the spiritual journey wrapped up into one chapter. And when you look at the dates, and if you were to put them on I can't believe how fast I move
Mm.
from learning about, having a CE5 to it leading me to the map, to it leading me to the center of it, to me actually finding the son of the owner of the place. And then within a couple months, we're actually staying at this property that is going to be the future of 2 solar eclipse axes. But that's where this calendar came in. That's where human design came in. That's where a lot of this extra information came in, because what those extra dimensional beings, whatever that experience was, they gave me information that led me along this path to give everyone else the information to say this is the practical application of heaven on earth. And so now I have a whole story. The book's out. It's called The Beings. It's on sale on Amazon, and this has all led to a documentary. And so here before the end of the year, Interdimensional will be released into movie theaters, and it is near unaliving experiencers and the UFO experiencers, and how we're bringing that information together to tell this story of where we go for our future. Very well-known people. Like, I'm again blown away at like, okay, so they're gonna be in this documentary with me, like little old me. I know the information I have is monumental, but holy shit, that person has like a lot of followers. So one of the people is Sophia Stewart. She is the they call her the godmother of the Matrix and the Terminator movies. She's the one that wrote the stories.
Oh my gosh.
So
Sophia who?
Stewart.
Stu-
So she says how John Connor, JC, is the same thing as Jesus Christ,
Uh-huh.
and Neo actually stands for the one, and they're both John Connor, Jesus Christ. It's the whole like ascension story happening with the AI and all this stuff. Yeah, Sophia Stewart. I think it's with the W
W.
though.
I almost put the W.
Yeah. And so, do you know about the Mayan time movement, Ha'ab token? Yes. Well, not in that form. I do know about the Law of Time, which is the organization that is pushing the galactic calendar or the dream spell calendar, which was the download to Jose Arguelles in 1987. 87 is a big key nodal date. That's why every 40 years, from 47 with Roswell, 87 with the harmonic convergence, and 27 with Harold, pushing the harmonic convergence and this solar eclipse over Egypt, and this path to embodiment where you get rewarded for doing Earth stewardship shit. And so that's that's what we're gonna do, and eventually when we get all of our community pulled together and people have static online courses or whatever, you guys will be able to give me like, hey, if they do 4 hours of volunteering, then I'll give them 20% off of this product or whatever. And then, oh, if they do 100 hours, I'll fucking give them a free whatever. They just got to pay for shipping, because fucking kudos for them if they redeem their 100 hours with me or whatever. And so this is where community service work and all that is going to be redeemable with discounts, free stuff, free events, products, services, and that'll be the path to embodiment. And it'll lead us all the way to 2027. And I hope to inspire more organizations and production companies to reward people in every small city to do that. The politicians should be doing it. The business should be doing it. They should be the ones saying, if you are going to do the shit that we keep shitting on, if y'all keep cleaning up our shit, we should reward y'all at least, whatever it is. So this is my attempt at helping out with that.
You doing it though.
Yeah.
And
It's all coming.
there's some questions. That's what I'm doing. I was trying to type in
Mhm.
the question is, hey T boss. Me too. I typed the word in SUF. Oh boy, where did it go? Maybe you can you scroll the comments to SUFISM. Have you studied SUFISM?
I haven't. I've heard of it, but I'm not too familiar with it.
And then Mr. I love him, but I say it backwards, Snapchat. It's not. I love him though. He knows I love him. Mayan run a perfect allegory. Them, do you know it?
Let me see if I can see what he said.
Mayan run a perfect allegory.
The Mayan run a perfect. Oh, algorithm.
Oh,
Yes.
oh,
Right. And
dude, I went to Lee Road Public School.
So that's what I feel. So the Mayan had the Hab, the token, and basically these wheels within wheels, right? Like a cog within a larger cog within a larger cog. And as each of them spins, they create a combination of information for that day. And then you can track them. And so that's how they knew about these solar eclipses. The Mayan knew about what was going to happen. They knew about 2027. They knew about 2077, which marks my 100-year anniversary on the planet. And solar eclipse goes over my birthplace within 7 days. I'm like, what the fuck? It's too
I was
crazy.
born on a solar eclipse, and my path number is 11. Crazy. Yep.
Right?
11 and
This is
7.
how
My numbers.
we're all part of the same thing like the soul, same oversoul that has fractalized itself, sent itself out to have these experiences, gain knowledge, wisdom, information, bring that back to the singularity moment. And, just to throw a little bit more, but San Antonio has an area code of 210. So 210 is a countdown to singularity, right? It's the 0 point. It's that 0 point that honors everything from the past and the future, and it has no beginning and no end. It's just the zero.
And three sevens.
And three sevens. Three
And two
sevens?
plus one is three. Yeah, 21.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And two
Yeah.
plus one is three.
And the and seven.
Trinity.
And that's my daughters. That's what I call them. My Holy Trinity. That's my
I have
girls.
my daughter is Trinity. Her name is Trinity. Yeah.
My youngest daughter, she's Violet Ray Sunshine.
Oh,
So, and
that's
she was there with
awesome.
us when we had the CE5 meditation. I feel she was part of that process. Um, but so right now on our the link in the bio, we have a Give Butter funding campaign. We have an auction for an amazing Isis Mala Ankh 77 crystal matrix organite pendant that is for auction, and any help in just like spreading the word. I mean, I'm not asking anybody like I need the money from you. It's like, no, we're a community, and it's about getting into that one right ear, the person that's like, I've been fucking looking for my forever peace.
That's
And that's
right.
what that would be. It would be someone's forever peace. And then also just the different ways of either donating, getting tickets if you're in the area, scheduling to like if you want to be a part of the Egypt trip. I'm already got scouts for Egypt. And so this whole path to embodiment with our Mayan data time here in San Antonio, all the events are kind of telling this story and leading up using the documentary that'll be out at the end of this year in August, then leading to a docu-series on Gaia TV that'll go along with this all the way to 2027, the solar eclipse in Egypt. And I'm planning on that being an actual event in Egypt. And I don't know how I'll work it out. Maybe you just buy your plane ticket and do some volunteering stuff here and rack up those heart tokens and get your wallet. I don't know how I'm going to work it out, but that will give someone enough time to figure it out. Or the other part is to inspire. So if I'm there and you're in, where'd you say, Sheboygan?
Yeah. It's Sheboygan.
Right.
You know how that came about? He
How?
said, this is all native, like a bunch of natives here, plus Germans, but at the same time, the native guy
Yeah.
had had like a seventh child or something like that, and they said, "Did you have all boys?"
The
And
what?
she he said they said he said she is he said she boy again.
Oh,
She
Sheboygan?
boy
Yeah.
again. And that's how it came about. I know I butchered that because I'm not real good at joke telling, but at the same time,
But I
that's how it
get
got
it.
its name.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So it's all about them girls and them boys and the whole creation story. Okay.
It's
So,
Sheboygan.
so the thing would be in Sheboygan that you could find organizations or maybe Spearhead or find someone that is a community,
Dude, they do so
activist.
much stuff like that here.
Hmm.
That's
So
why I
then I
love it
would
here.
want to. So then you would probably just have them link up with me and my team, and then I can guide them in whatever way and say, "Look, this is what we're doing," and I can put some of your organizations on my app,
Mhm.
and and I have rewards that will send them a free, human design reading or Reiki or fucking all kinds of shit, and that
Mhm.
way people over there in Sheboygan start getting rewarded as well.
Yeah. They have
And
so much
then.
stuff here. It's unreal. You're
Mhm.
the only other place person that I've heard talk about the things that they do here. This place is over the top.
it's it's happening. This is the thing is people, and that's why here on this app I'm cool with it, but in a sense I'm like, don't get stuck in here because there's still real world,
Yeah.
and a lot of places are doing these things, but people just haven't woken up to go look for them. And it's, again, they exist already, because I went and found them all too. I didn't know that there was a food policy council. There was a person that started a Gardopia Gardens and puts gardens in schools. There was an organization that helps any community member start a community garden with the Gardening 101 book. Like, there's all these resources, and you just have to get up out of your, oh, I'm scared of the world, it's doing all these things to me, and say there's actually people out there that are doing things for me.
That's right.
And then we work together.
Well, that's one of the things that really happened, because this really taught me how people are internally, because the kingdom is within.
Yeah.
I am that person, dude. I am about it. I am community. I just love it. And I got taken down so hard. Every now and then I chuckle when I'm in my car. I'm like, they really tried, didn't they? To take me out so bad that I couldn't sing. I literally couldn't sing. I was so I couldn't sing. The joy was just where. I mean, I couldn't get out to go help anybody. It was horrible. And so time went by, and by like years, I'm working on all this healing and all this stuff, and all of what you said about the fragments and like completely fragmented it, and having to put all of that back together, but really taking myself out of it and not trying to protect myself anymore, and allowing days to go by and to understand that it's finished. I'm safe now. I can allow this process to happen. So years went by, and I wasn't even, but all these volunteer opportunities, all this thing, I made myself go to the lake every day. I made myself go sit outside. I made myself do the very basics to connect with nature, to stay alive through that time. And then I finally came out, and I'm doing sewing like 5 years later, and they have all kind of stuff here to do. But then I realized that's what's happening with people. They're inside of themselves in the wilderness, feeling their way through it and attempting to heal. And then once they get to that point, they can come out and help others. But it just really got to the point when my life went the way it went, I was given out. I gave till I had nothing left to give, and I had to recoup.
Well, so this is where I feel this this app can really benefit so many people. Like, I want to put a lot of free stuff in there for people to get like that sense of well-being.
Yeah.
So when you were going out there giving and giving and giving, if there was a thing there that you can turn to and be like, oh, I just need to talk to, whatever it could have been at that time. If there was a whole list of things that had, oh, this equals that, and you get that discount, or you get this for free, you'd probably have like, oh, wow, I've racked up 100 hours. I can probably get that for free, that for free, that for free, take care of myself.
It gives you hope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I like it.
yeah. So before I go, I got to go pick up one of the little one. Do you have any? And I'd love to do this again.
Yeah, let's do it again.
When I have, well, I would love to stay on longer and get other people excited in the chat, and have more time to spread the word and everything. And it'll definitely be when I get into the new space.
Yeah.
We get this new house. I'm prepping it up with like podcasts, lights, and I'm just gonna go in there and flip a fucking switch and be like, let's get
Game on. Yep.
Game on, bitches.
Dude, my plate, the dog just, I don't know if you saw that light bump a while ago. I tell him when I'm like, okay, I'm about to turn this light on, but just stay over there. I give him the rundown. Well, she didn't. She was having a good time, and she hit her legs, hit that light, and flipped my little lamp off the thing. And it, you know how when it like is about to go out, it gets brighter sometimes.
Oh yeah.
It did that. It got brighter, and then all of a sudden it's gone. So I'm like feeling around for my extra little bulbs. I don't know where they are, but literally, like, this is my.
Yeah,
like,
I have a big ass lamp over here that's normally behind me, because I did an event at my friend's place at his studio, and the one thing was my lamp, my light that I put in front of me. So, this works all right. This is a big ass lamp on my speaker, but we're both improvising.
And I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Like, I've had it all. When my life fell apart, dude, I had everything I could have possibly, like, I could do whatever. I mean, I wasn't like, oh, but I was happy. I accomplished everything. And then when I had $0 and 0 cents, I learned about hope,
Hmm.
and that was a
Yeah.
big one.
Yeah. Well, I hope I gave some hope, some
I'm
inspiration.
excited. I think that I'm game on. I'm supportive in this
Yeah.
whole idea, and I want it to spread. So I
Well,
don't know if we're doing.
help me spread it. I'll post some videos and I'll tag you in them, and then
All right.
just whatever, um I know these TikTok streets are a little weird sometimes. I'm gonna try to be as, that's why this move into the new house will give me a space where I can close the door and keep the little ones out, and also be able to stay up at night, close the door where I'm not bothering them while they're asleep, and I can stay up later and intermingle with the community and stuff like that. And I want to be more present. But if I'm not, because I'm working my ass off with all these other things, help from the community is always, great. I love it. So,
Well, to be continued for sure, and let's
yeah,
stay in touch. And let me know when you get the app out. And
yeah,
I got my questions. I'll be writing them down.
yeah, 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 yeah. And then get those, the organizations that in Sheboygan. Get me any information you give me, whether it's like the name of the organization, a website, an email, maybe a phone number.
Well, definitely Pay It Forward is one that I support. They started
Cool.
from their house, dude.
Yeah,
They were
that's what I
in their
want. Those
garage, and
stories
they
like
are,
that.
yeah, I've
Yeah,
been wanting to get on board with it, and I've been waiting for the right time, and I've healed enough to actually reach
yeah,
out. So that's a good kickoff. I'll just approach them with
okay,
that. They do warming
yeah,
shelters and stuff. Like, yeah, it's
yeah.
really good.
I'm excited. I want it to spread
Me
everywhere.
too.
All right,
All
Tina.
right,
Thank
dude.
you
Love you,
so
man.
much, and everyone in chat, Christina, Bobby Rocks, anyone else, Hooded Spirit, anyone else that came through. I thank y'all so much, guys. Y'all have a
Yeah.
blessing.
We
All right,
love you. We love
all right.
y'all.
Peace
I
out.
love y'all. Have a great night, everybody.
You too.
Talk soon.
Bye
All
bye.
right, bye.